I'm Christine the Mean. This is Clash of Clans Esports News. Yesterday was Tuesday, Newsday, the 9th of March, 2021. Let's start out with some discussion on players and teams. So the first thing we had this week is the announcement from Train Station Gaming that they are happy to be a roster. Clash of Clans roster. So the captain of Train Station Gaming is Jethro. On Jethro's team, we've got Ghost, JD9, Khan, Tupac, Boone, and What the Huck. Lord Peter managing that roster. Now, I think this is brilliant. I think Train Station and its association with Space Station, yet not actually being Space Station, lets this squad have their own kind of brand and find their own identity. But it's close enough that you know that they're together. I think this is a brilliant move by Space Station and Train Station in adding another roster. We had Tompanai Empire announcing a roster to go to Worlds. O'Mallon, Michael, Rigo Torres, Mekuo, and Reek are going to take Tompanai Empire all the way to Worlds this year. That is a mighty fine roster. We have Sui Generis announcing officially a Clash of Clans roster. This is kind of a big roster. Hero, Nilsson, Pedro, Janata, Well, Rodrigo, Ma, Genocide, Joyce, and Galango. All part of the new Sui Generis squad competing in Clash. We had Group VV with 3 lineups announced. So that is pretty exciting to see Group VV. That's a new one for me. We have Cream Real Betis announcing their Worlds roster. Style Fed, DMX, Diego Jorge, Capitan 99, and El Tano. And we had Silent Snipers with a little change here. Lando Gaming leaving Silent Snipers, and they are adding Zweeble to their SS roster. We had Lost Meta. Now, Lost Meta is also associated with Space Station, so they have made an announcement about their roster with Fence Post as the captain, Halo Blade, Happy Store, Rainberry, Stamus, Ashburn, and Sold My Kids for Gems on that roster with Kat managing them. And then finally, we've got a couple of players looking for clans. Freezy and Koopa are looking for competitive opportunities. And lastly, the Drews 18s. If you were here last week, you know how much fun I was having with the Drews 18s. Well, I kind of hoped that the fun would continue, but the fun kind of just sort of fizzled out. As things happen on Twitter, there was only one additional roster put up for the Drews 18s, the top 18 clans. Miguel puts this up, QSFN, NGT, Brazilian Effect, WBBR, Raiju, Activity, Bagados, Ironhawks, M2, and RTI round out Miguel's 10. So that I wish this kept on because I thought this was great fun. Moving on to World Championships. We'll go through a couple more of the World Championships rules. First of all, roster changes. You know, everybody loves to talk about roster changes, and I talk about roster changes a lot this week. So 5 players will be registered during pre-qualifiers for Worlds, and after that you can't change that roster. It says except under extraordinary circumstances. So I don't really know what that is, but I would just advise you to register the roster you're going to play with. And that the other piece of information that's in that rule book is that if your team does not earn a gold ticket, a silver ticket, or a wild card, then it's okay to reformulate your roster. So that roster is locked, but only for that round. So as soon as you kind of lose, then you can reformulate. But as long as you continue to have a roster that's competing, then you cannot reformulate. The second thing I want to talk about is just a little bit of the path. The next part of the rule book that we're getting into here is the path. And the path to Worlds starts with your Clan War Leagues. There's 6 months, 6 golden tickets will be given out from each of those months starting in May. And it starts with Clan War League. Any clan that finishes in champs, 1, 2, or 3, can register a single 5-person team for the pre-qualifiers. Now, the registration will close 48 hours before the pre-qualifier starts. And the thing in the rules here says basically that Supercell, can remove clans that contain player accounts that violate Supercell's safe and fair play policy. So the scans that have, happened before, we now know exactly when those are going to happen. They're certainly going to scan you if you've registered for pre-qualifiers in the 48 hours between when registration stops and when the actual event begins. So pre-qualifier day 1. So let's just assume you get registered and you're in and you've passed the scans. Your seed is going to be determined by your CWL ranking. So the top 64 teams that are registered will skip on to day 2. Everybody else, however many register, get loaded into a single elimination bracket. Now the rosters have locked at registration, and that bracket will play down to 64 teams. So, how many rounds is that if you start out with 3,000? Someone else can do that math. But it's going to be a series of wars until they get to 64. In order to play, you do have to check in app. So there's going to be something in game in the app that will let you check in, and you have to do it between 1 hour before it starts up to 15 minutes after match time is when those check-ins happen. If you don't check in, then you lose your first one and you're out. The wars are all 5 minutes prep, 30-minute war with no hit times. So this should be kind of a fast and furious thing to plow through what could be quite a big bracket down to 64 teams. And that's it for the rules. We'll look more at the rules next week, but I just wanted to touch base with this March warm-up thing that's happening. So this was a warm-up for Worlds. The top 8 clans from March CWL will get to compete for this $40,000 prize pool. Now, March CWL ends tomorrow, so we'll find out who the 8 clans are that have this opportunity tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Moving on to league and tournament news. First of all, let's talk about Fury. Okay, Fury Cup did hold a championship this week, and Zombie Doom beat Titan Esports to take that championship. So they won 12-11, finishing off what's probably the last season of Fury. The Fury server has been taken over by the NACC, so this is probably the last thing. There wasn't really a celebration poster. I didn't see the tweet. It looks like this might be as much as we get, is Zombie Doom self-announcing their own championship. Now, since last week, I did learn that Fury did not pay out the prize pool the first year, their first season. And I think Tribe Gaming is the one who won, and I believe that they were not paid. So I actually followed up to find out if Zombie Doom was getting paid. And as of my follow-up, 3 out of the 5 sponsors had paid. So the way Fury had structured this, they didn't take on any money themselves. They just got commitments from the sponsors, and the sponsors were supposed to then pay out the winner. And as of yesterday, 3 of those 5 had paid, the other 2 had not. Now, I'm not going to tell you which are which, because it's only been 3 days, and it's still possible that the other 2 sponsors will pay. I just would like to encourage all of these sponsors to pay out the promised prize pool. It's really not fair to all the clans who compete in any of our tournaments if we do not pay out the prize pools that we promise. So I did say that the Fury server was taken over by the NACC, and I had a lot of questions about this last week. We've got more answers this week. The rule book has been released. So NACC, the Northern Arena Clash Championship, was announced with the prize pool of $10,000. So what do I know today? We know that this is a league. It's not a tournament. There's really no bracket. There are 2 divisions, 18 in each, 18 in a Champions division and 18 in a Challengers division. And those 2 divisions basically run round robin. So there's 17 weeks of round robin play associated with each of these divisions. And then depending on where you finish in Champions, you might get relegated down to Challengers, or if you finish in the top in Challengers, you get up into Champions for next season. So there's no movement between these in season, but there is for next season. So this will start in early May, $10,000 is the amount that's paid out to spots 1 through 6 of the Champions Division. The Champions Division appears to be invite only and looking only at a pro level 18 teams. The Challengers Division is splitting a prize pool of $1,000, only in spots 1 through 3. And the Challengers Division is the one that you can apply to. Now, again, they're only taking 18. And as you know, some of the leagues that are out there and tournaments that are out there right now are getting 400 applications. So this is going to be, even though it'll be very selective, the Challengers Division will also be very selective. The questions on those applications include things like your clan accomplishments, the number of Twitter followers, and the Twitter accounts for all the players, whether or not you have an in-house streamer and is it their home clan, are your players paid to play. So even though it is a Challengers Division, there's a fair number of questions there that sort of indicate that the tournament might be looking for pro teams more than others. This will be a fun one to watch. I think it's an interesting format, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Black Widow this week did hold semifinals. I think these happened on the 7th of March, but I do not know the results. NGT played Inner Circle, and Activity White played RTI. Clash Champs Cup is in quarterfinals. We've got Unicorns of Love versus Space Station. We have M2 Ninja versus Method to Madness. Both those M2 squads facing off. We have MCES versus Tribe Gaming. And we have Nishang Dance versus Aphelion Esports. So these Clash Champ Cups matches have been quite good. And I'm pretty excited to see these last couple of wars happen. They've been really well covered by streamers as well. We have the WCL is currently playing playoffs in their round of 32. I'm not going to read off all 32. We'll go through the 16 next week. We have Pitt currently in the round of 32. And again, I'm not going to read off all 32. We'll go through 16 next week. We had drama this week with Carrie's Esports. Now, this is not necessarily with the drama with the league, but you know the league also has a sponsored team. And this was posted in the league server, which is that the founder of Carrie's Esports has terminated the contract with the players. She's claiming that they were dishonest and they are not authorized to play under the Carrie's Esports name anymore. So these were apparently players from Screwers. So this was the reason I included this in league and tournament news is that this same piece gets copied out of the Carrie's Esports server and gets communicated widely across the entire league and tournament infrastructure for Clash. And, you know, leagues then had to decide if they had a team that was either Screwers or Carries, are you leaving them in? Are you taking them out? What are you going to do about that? And so I'm sure that they all made different decisions, and I don't know what decisions they made, but this was very widely communicated and a cause for some discussions in many leagues. 187 Family Cup is playing qualifiers. Let's see. Top Warriors Cup ran through their championship this week. Titans Esports was crowned the winner, with Reapers coming in second and the Bharat coming in third. Congratulations to Titans. Oh, the Champions Mix Cup. Oh, I've been talking about this one for a couple of weeks because I thought the format was so cool. That you have 4 different servers. Each one starts out with a 64-team bracket. They play down to 16. And then the 16 from each server get together for a fresh 64. So it's sort of a server-on-server thing. Thought the concept was very cool, but this has run into some stumbling blocks. So the founder of Clash Affiliations basically disappeared for the 2 weeks prior to when the tournament was supposed to start. The tournament did not start in the Clash Affiliations server. And there was simply no response from the administrative staff there. So that remained with the Rambu, TWC, and Holowiwi servers. And it appears today that the TWC and Holowiwi servers are maybe trying to save this. They were trying to verify whether or not the prize pool was actually real. And if it is, I suspect this will go forward, but maybe not as originally intended. stay tuned. It's just really a bummer to have so many clans go through the effort of registering, to have so many clans ready to play, and then for it just to disappear. Nothing happens. All there are is questions and literally no answers. So I don't know. We'll keep a watch on this and see if it goes. I'm a lot disappointed. I want to say a little. I'm a lot disappointed. Moving on, Queso Cup did indeed crown a winner of the Town Hall 13 Queso Cup. Among Us, which is Queen Walkers, actually won the Queso Cup. Congratulations. We'll update you on just the regular old gameplay next week. Eclipse Cup is still registering if you're interested in that kind of a league. Moving on to Contrarian Clasher. This is the part of the show where I get to have rants and give out a lot of opinions. So the first one I want to talk about is tournaments, and they're sponsored by streamers. So a lot of tournaments are sponsored by streamers. Streamers will throw in $100 here, $200 there to sponsor a tournament. Now, I have a question for you streamers. Why would you sponsor a tournament that has no hit times? I guess, in theory, the reason you sponsor a tournament is to give something back to the communities that give to you. And so there's like this symbiosis between tournaments and streamers. Tournaments need publicity, streamers need content. They should work together. But why would you sponsor a tournament that has no hit times? You go to stream that, and that's horrible content for a streamer. It's like trying to stream a Trojan War. It's really hard. You sit there with nothing to talk about for an hour, and then everything happens in the last 5 minutes. This is not good content. I don't understand, if you're a streamer, why you would sponsor a tournament like that. And nor do I understand as a tournament why you would try to get sponsorship for when you're not going to have hit times. It's so weird. Now, that's not really a rant. It's something I just don't understand. But the second one, I want to talk about roster violations. So pretty much every league, every tournament, maybe not all, but most leagues and tournaments have some restrictions around rosters. They have restrictions around how many changes you can make, whether or not people can be on different rosters in the same division. They have rules about how many you can have, timing. Now, tournaments and leagues will have different reasons for having these roster rules. But as a clan rep, it's one of the most difficult things to manage. It's one of the hardest things is to make sure that you have the right players with the right accounts in the right place at the right time to play the war. And so if you think about it from a tournament perspective, why would they have these rules? Well, they might have them for fair play reasons, meaning that they don't want somebody rostered on both sides of a war and potentially throwing the war and skewing the results. They could have it for fair play reasons with spying on bases. They can have it for ringer reasons, meaning like you don't want a group of a clan to make it so far in a tournament and then switch out all those players for a different set of players to carry it to the end. Because that makes it to be not a very good competitive environment. So there's reasons that tournaments have these rules. And to me, it's important that when something is important enough to be a rule, that rule should be followed. And so should you check? If you're the clan rep or you're the leader, should you be checking those rosters? And I'm going to say that this is part of your duty as the rep or the leader is to check those rosters. Because most of the tournaments will say it's your responsibility as the opposing clan to check rosters. That makes it your responsibility. You should check. Do they matter? Well, if they didn't matter, the tournament wouldn't have them. There is really no reason for any tournament to have rules that don't matter. And if you're running a tournament and there's rules that you don't care about, then you shouldn't have those rules. So they do matter because the tournament has the rules. Is it dishonorable to check rosters? I'm going to say no, it is not. I'm going to say it's your responsibility to check the rosters. And is it dishonorable to tell when there's a problem? No, because the rules will say that it's your responsibility to tell. So who's dishonorable here? The one who's doing the thing that's supposed to be done, or the team that's showing up with players that aren't on their roster? How can it be dishonorable to be checking the rules well, it's honorable to show up with players that aren't on your roster. I am confounded by this attitude that it's just okay to run whoever you want. But this is sort of a rampant thing. And I actually have a friend who I respect quite a bit in Clash, who he and I completely disagree on this. So, and I still like him. I still respect him. I simply do not understand how you can find it dishonorable to be doing the thing that you're supposed to do, to be in compliance with the tournament rules, and yet the clan that's doing the thing they're not supposed to do and is not in compliance is so-called honorable? To me, that's crap. And that's the end of my rant. With that, I want to thank you for joining me today. We'll see you here next week with more Clash news. If I am missing your news, make sure you tag me on Twitter or hit me up on Discord with your news. I want to cover everybody's news. This is Christine the Mean. We'll catch you next week.